Hi, this is Eldervi, and welcome back to a new Vault of Heaven showcase. I've piled up some really cool matches I want to edit in the next weeks, and in this match from the past season, I want to show you how I used the turn 1 Seiros Rally Dancer trap against that team. And later in the video, I will present my fail of the week, where my daughter started an Aether match for me. Great! I hope you're all enjoying your free Ninja Lin. I sure as hell am. Well, my free copy is still lying around at level 1 for now, until I decide what to do with her. Maybe I'll create a full level 1 team with Plumeria to badass mock my enemies. Or maybe not. So without further ado, let's hop right into the match. Did you get that one? Further ado? Instead of ado? It was planned. It wasn't my mediocre English skills. At least not this time. It was funny, okay? For some people it was funny. Oh, shut up! I bet you're not funny as well. Well, maybe you are, but I can be funny too. When no one watches, for example. I'm sure as hell funny when no one watches. Whatever! This is a serious match anyways. So, let's take a look at the enemy. This was not a common oppressive whale team forcing their plus 10 stats on me, but rather an oppressive meta team. A big number of meta units slammed together with some premium skills on top. First we have Duo Liv, being a very strong mage cavalier with his 80,000 weapon effects, especially against tanks. Seiros with distant counter quick riposte, plus res minus attack. You can bet they were hoping for a free Seiros copy for a Hero Rises. Then we have Plumeria with aerobatics and also defensive tactics. Interestingly, this is a perfectly rounded mixed team, so she will buff almost everyone with it. Then there's our common plus 10 kill heart with double death blow, lance breaker and a rally trap, followed by Brave Edelgard in the new extra slot. She's running a full close tank build with close defense 4 and near save from a freshly killed Dedu. Now you wish you wouldn't have skipped that paralogue, don't you? A second duo with Winter Altina, she's running an Impact A skill together with Odd Tempest to act like a horse in odd turns. No further meaning intended, I'm just stating the facts. And last we have Mirabilis with yet another tactic skill, ground orders and aerobatics in her B slot. So unlike many other meta teams, this map design isn't shabby at all. Not as good as some others I've seen, but I'm sure it works pretty well against many teams. So please let me guide you quickly through the design. With the addition of the new extra slot, players took merely some hours to figure out you could abuse its mechanics for disgusting forced turn 1 plays. Edelgard, who's in the extra slot, will end her turn right at the beginning of the enemy's turn and therefore provoke her fellow dancers to dance her. As neither Plumeria nor Mirabilis stand next to her, they will actually move down below her with aerobatics to dance from there. I'm pretty sure the summoner chose the slot order in a way so Plumeria will be the one going down. Because... no, this is common English phrasing. Don't you dare to force that Tiban slang on me. So she will go down to dance Edelgard and therefore increase the threat range. Her turn will be over, but the AI doesn't care about that. If you left a unit in Edelgard's column, you will be in Plumeria's new attack range, and therefore her teammates will start to buff her up. This is even more effective with Dancer Sigurd, who you see way more often in these setups, as he targets 3 additional tiles instead of just that single one. Killheart is the only team member running a rally, but as he can't reach her from the mountain, he will instead go all the way over below Altina to rally from there. With this, Mirabilis will be in range to use her dance thanks to her aerobatics, and suddenly you have an aggro buffed and refreshed Braveheart ready to take out whoever you place on the right side of the map. Unless it's a green unit, they have additional NPC protection. Don't look at me like that, I said the map is not perfect. With this, you may or may not be 1 unit down already after the first turn. My initial impulse was to tackle the map with Bike, provoking Reinhardt's attack which wouldn't do anything against me, but what would I do in the round after that? As Liv is the only one in the team without a support skill, he would move next, and as Edelgard's spot will still be occupied, he will move straight down. From there, it's likely Seiros will reposition him. I have to admit though I'm not 100% sure about that, especially the drawback and reposition AI movement are really hard to grasp sometimes. I've been running a drawback trap for the longest time myself, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends somehow on the range of the offensive units and if they are threatening the unit in question or not, but I see my own trap working and not working with enemies standing in the exact same spot, so who knows how it works. I for sure don't. If it works the way I think it will, Liv will actually be thrown back in the second to last row, from which he can perfectly safe target the units you tried to protect on the left side in the second round. On the other hand, Altina will move down, putting pressure on your right side, while Edelgard will probably reposition Mirabilis, ending her turn like this. I'm not really sure what Ground Orders does for their team. I guess they followed the skill for another setup earlier and just didn't have anything better to equip for now. Well, with that I would say we managed round 1 quite well. And now... Trying to attack Altina in close combat will result in Edelgard stepping in with near safe. Sure, we can block Altina's path, hoping that our tank will survive her twin blades, and hopefully also a second time and a third time once the dancers join the fun. I can see this map being beaten by a well-built tank with damage reduction. You will have to take care of that Liv sooner or later though, and the map design doesn't make it very easy to snipe him. I expected the bolt trap below him to be real in order to save him from ranged attacks in round 2, and he would likely constantly get repositioned out of range by the Dragon Wall. Literally. Therefore, I took another approach. Those forced turn 1 dancer traps are scary, but they have one big enemy: isolation. Dark teams with 7 units will never have the same impact as the Anima teams have right now, because it will be rather easy to beat them with Miller unless you sacrifice another team slot for an odd recovery healer. So I had 2 options: either isolating Mirabilis, forcing down Plumeria and Reinhardt, but without giving them that last important dance, or isolating Plumeria's lane, to force down Mirabilis instead. Isolating Mirabilis wouldn't have helped me, as I would have just increased Reinhardt's range in an awkward way. Therefore, I shut down the Horny Fairy instead. I'm sure my Fjorm appreciates this move. Knowing that the Dancer Trap was gone, I could easily take out building after building. I only had to take care that I wouldn't end my turn in Altina's increased Odd Tempest range. Altina wouldn't contribute much to this map without neither Duma nor Bolt Tower or accessible trap in range. Normally Naga would be in her place in my never going to be married Fjorm setup, but as Altina was the bonus unit this week, I was forced to bring her along. As expected, with Plumeria being isolated, Mirabilis moved down instead. Reinhardt wouldn't rally her, as no one in my team was in her range, besides being isolated himself of course. Isolating Edelgard wouldn't have done anything by the way, as she ends the isolation by ending her turn. Therefore, always make sure to isolate either the dancers or the rally unit in such setups. I was already pretty much in position. I moved up with Ninja Lin as Altina would lose her extra range in even turns and waited for my Bolt Tower to strike. Apparently, I didn't even need the damage. Now, if that Edelgard would have been running far safe instead of near safe, I would have been in severe trouble, as I would have been 1 action short in order to take out all duos. But in that case, I could have still sniped the duo building in round 3, making Altina unable to catch up to me once more in the upcoming even round. With near safe though, I could take out Altina right away, getting 1 step closer to using my duo cheats again. I could follow up with Plumeria, who was in range, and take out Reinhardt's small hands next.
At your command. Lin, you're a wonder. Prepare yourself.
I danced once more with Cheatery to get in range to take out Duoliv, who was luckily debuffed from my previous attack. This fucker can be really hard to take out, despite his mediocre defensive stats. Now, all of this was rather tame for now, so how did I end up with that clickbait title on the video? Actually, I couldn't have dealt with this map, wouldn't I have abused the Dancer Trap. Next I will use my duo skill on Lin, granting me another action to take out Mirabilis 1 tile above Peony, use her cheat dance after that, making it possible to repo run to safety with both of them. If Mirabilis had stayed in her original place, I couldn't have attacked anyone else from my current position without accepting a dead unit in the turn after that. And even if I had tried to run away in the same kind of way, leaving both dancers alive, Edelgard could have been danced by Mirabilis, using her own sister to hop down with aerobatics. Mirabilis moving down was the only way for me to make this play.
That's so loud. Oh man, you're a wonder.
After killing her, I knew both defensive walls would simply move down, positioning themselves out of Plemeria's range, who was by the way still isolated by my Fjorm.
Careful, careful. At your command. With utter certainty.
One round later I was able to break through both walls and to take the last remaining pot. I've seen some Edelgards by now without distant counter, and they are just not as impressive. Without access to special denials, even her impressive damage reduction on a second hit won't save her from numerous distant attacks.
You're finished.
Seiros does face a similar problem, though she's at least capable of denying follow-up attacks, which makes it possible for her to survive non-brave weapon users. And while Iceberg is a powerful special on her, running it without something like Time's Pulse will probably result in not seeing it activated too often.
Accept your punishment.
Over here?
I tested the trap with Regan just to see if my prior conclusions were right, and it was indeed the real one, so the idea was to protect Liv from both close and distant attacks. Too bad I took him out right at the beginning. And this is how I use the map's own defenses against it. I'm pretty sure the turn 1 Dancer Trap will still work against many players not aware of its threat. It does indeed also make positioning much harder than usual, but different from Restore Traps, where it's not always obvious in which order the healer will move. These Dancer Traps are pretty straightforward, so whenever you enter a map with 7 units, check which unit is in the extra slot and which dancer might reach that unit, so you may abuse their position in turn 2 even without isolation, to your advantage instead. And to lift up the mood, as we all know that nothing is more fun than seeing people fail by stupidity, let's look at my fail of the week. This was a fail indeed, because my daughter was operating my smartphone. She's frighteningly talented for being 4 years old, and she likes sending enemies away using the fairies. Well, today she called me, and I realized she went into an Aether Raids match instead, with my unit still being wrongly equipped, and actually went straight into the battle with the last team I used. Challenge X, oh my god, my Altina is running a rally skill, isn't she? So, here I was, stuck with a rally defense res Altina, even though Duma would have given me a perfect chance to use upheaval against him, and Lyn running desperation once again.
At your command.
I really need these locked offensive teams, please. And probably because I bragged about it earlier, I was once more punished with my old arch nemesis, Restore Plus Traps. These are the number 1 teams I fail against, just because I'm too stupid to notice assists on healers. They are like invisible to me in half of the cases. And did I just say how everything in the defense of the summoner earlier worked against them? Well, this time my own offense was working against me. I hate the school buildings. I hate bonus buildings in general, what a nuisance. I couldn't isolate Veronica after turn 1 without staying in her range, so I thought why not isolating her target instead. But as unlucky as it can get, my armor school targeted exactly the only 2 armors on the enemy team, which were at the same time the only 2 units Veronica could reach. Great. How fun. So I assumed she would restore Surtur first and then Duma after being danced. Therefore I isolated Fina, making Veronica stop below Duma. This was already my first mistake. I should have isolated Veronica in the first round to do this play in the second round. Instead, I was living my stupid side. I planned on isolating her in the second turn to set up my team, but I had already made my second mistake. I took out the silver chair in front of Fjorm, making Veronica reach all the way down in round 2. Well, now she was isolated and angry, and my team was one member too much for seeking shelter. When life gives you lemons, let's be real, it sucks, unless you have a strange addiction to lemons, no judging. I figured I could tank a hit from Veronica with my Fjorm, forcing her to come down to me, and since Liv was running an assist, I figured the melee dancers would move before him. That's what the AI guides tell us. They would dance the 2 armor dudes who would slowly make their way down to me, and I could start killing them in round 3. Never came to that. After the first dance, which I predicted, Liv suddenly went down to drawback Duma before either Surda or Mirabilis acted. Do you remember what I said earlier about drawback being totally out of control? For whatever reason, the AI did this. It's not like Duma was in less danger after that, he could have still been targeted by both my Lyn and Plumeria. Was it to bring Liv himself out of danger again? Do they do self-defending mechanisms? Or do they count how many units could target Duma before and after? The thing that bugs me the most though is why it happened before Surda moved. Had Surda moved first, Mirabilis would have danced him right after that. Duma and Surda had the same distance to my units, so it could have went either way. Thanks for nothing, AI guides. I'm sure there will be someone with smarty pants in my audience finally educating me on this topic. I'm desperately waiting for you guys. Of course, with this he was suddenly perfectly in range to be danced by Mirabilis, and then, do you know these replays when your carry stands right before the biggest threat of the enemy team and decides to take a detour to kill stupid useless Naga instead, so the enemy can take out your whole team in the round after that and finish you off with 1 loss? It's called AI decision making and makes your unit kill the enemy who it can deal the most damage to. In this case, the angry Liv had the option to kill my level 1 Plumeria with 1 point of resistance after being debuffed, or my carry Lyn with 15 points of resistance. Much damage against my poor fairy, still much but 14 points less damage against my duo of Friendzone. And remember, if he can kill multiple units, he will go for the one he deals the most damage to. Thanks for that, sucker. This was clearly an act of revenge for the match before, and I can tell you, Liv, bearing grudges is just as unsexy as wearing a veil in front of your face. You will never get laid like that. Besides, I never intended to finish this match anyways, so the joke's on you. I'm not salty, I'm clearly the bigger personality here. So, that's it for this week. My defense finally performed well again for the first time in weeks, and I made it into the new tier 39 in the end. How did your week go? Leave me a comment with your experiences, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. See you next time! I bet you forgot about this song again, but I will bring it back. I will bring it back so many times till you will hear it in your dreams.